Now on RTV6, it was a horrific crash that claimed the lives of a mother and her young twin daughters. What the semi-driver involved is now saying.
My first concern is I want illegal guns off the street.
His gun was stolen. Now he's concerned it will end up involved in a violent crime. We are working for you and digging into how often this happens.
How about that? Some sunshine poked through the clouds this afternoon. It's all about snow, though, later tonight.
This is RTV6 News at 5, working for you.
Good evening to you. Right now at 5, a lack of resources, jobs, and schools. Those are some of the things local outreach workers say could be contributing to rising crime and violence on the northeast side.
And that's the area of the city where 4 young adults were gunned down in an apartment complex late Wednesday night. The search for whoever is responsible continues.
Tonight we're working for you by taking a deeper look at life in the area, from schools that have closed to guns getting into the wrong hands.
We begin our team coverage with RTV6's Megan St. live outside the Phelan Leadership Academy, which is very near the shooting scene. Megan.
Yeah, well, this academy is near 42nd and Mithofer. That's just down the street from the Carriage House East Apartments, which is the scene of Wednesday's shooting. People who live in this area say they may not have much when it comes to resources, but the few things that they do have, like this academy, mean so much, not only for kids, but the community as a whole.
Kind of looking at how he organized.
Inside these classrooms, you'll find kids looking for hope. They want a place to feel safe and things to do. This school is one of the few places people living in the area have. As the city's Peacemakers team walked the scene of the quadruple homicide on Thursday, they noted how schools closing their doors for good can have a negative impact on the whole community. They say it contributes to the hopelessness feeling so many young people in this neighborhood experience. Parents we spoke with today agree and say this nonprofit school is a place their kids can go to feel safe and supported, and it helps give them something productive to do.
Having those types of activities right here in the community definitely makes it easy and convenient to keep your kids out of trouble.
Phelan Leadership Academy is expanding this location. They're adding additional classrooms and a space for the arts.
We're opening up a performing arts center where they'll be open to the public for theaters and dance and concerts for them to come to. Well, officials allow other schools to close. Just up the road is John Marshall High School. I cannot believe that the government and IPS would allow an asset to just decay and ruin like that.
We'll have more on this story coming up tonight at 6, including how the community can help this academy grow. Reporting live, Megan Sanctorum, RTV6.
And keeping guns from falling into the wrong hands is another part of the equation in efforts to make our streets safer. An Indianapolis man says his gun was stolen and he wants to make sure it is not used in a crime. RTV6's Troy Washington did some digging and found out his fear is not uncommon.
24 homicides since 2020 started. 8 of those since February got underway.
The gun was stolen about half-mile where there's 4 kids were killed 2 nights ago.
Chris Kearns is talking about the shooting that left 4 people dead on Tuesday in the 4100 block of Shady Oak Drive. When Kearns found out his gun was stolen on Sunday, right away he started to think the worst.
Hope and pray that's not the same gun that was used to commit these crimes, but you know, you just never know.
A theft report has been filed, and police say that you should never leave a gun in a vehicle. But Kearns is concerned that there doesn't appear to be much more that can be done.
My first concern is I want illegal guns off the street.
Here in Indiana, gun owners aren't required to report guns lost or stolen. In fact, there are only 11 states that make it a requirement. Back in 2015, the city tried to put a city ordinance in place to cut down on crime after recognizing guns were being stolen, then at an alarming rate. It passed but didn't last because it was believed to violate a state law, denying cities the freedom to make gun laws.
I would love to have my personal property back, but that's way far down on my priority list right now.
He thinks there's a bigger problem in play, like where can a gun owner turn for help if their gun is taken? IMPD told Kearns to reach out to the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives. The ATF says it does look into gun theft, but typically only from businesses, dealers, or manufacturers. He says he doesn't know who else to try. Working for you, Troy Washington, RTV6.
And RTV6 doesn't like to give up without a resolution. We will continue to reach out to law enforcement and leaders to find out who can help with stolen gun investigations.
Time now for your Storm Team 6 forecast. I'm here in the tracking center with Chief Meteorologist Kevin Gregory. Great to see the sun today.
Hold everything.
Look at that.
I know. And this is subtle change, but hopefully you noticed we've had the flat stratus clouds, kind of the layered, boring, cover the entire sky. Today we actually had some cumulus clouds that build vertically, and I'll show you what that did as well, but we can't stare at that long enough. It's good to see some sunshine, and it was neat to see sunshine and flurries all at the same time. Temperatures, they didn't get too carried away despite the sunshine. We're 33 now. That west wind 10 to 15 miles per hour. The air is fairly dry, and I think we'll see a few more flurries, especially south and east, where you see the absence of gray. That's where the skies are clear. But we built these cumulus clouds, and that fired up some flurries. They continue, especially to the south and east, rolling through Columbus now, between Columbus and Shelbyville, and then over toward Greensburg. All of this drifting to the south and east. Not the snow that I'm talking about for later tonight into the morning hours. That's gathering itself together in the western portion of the land of Lincoln. That will be in later tonight. Temperature 33 in Indy, 34 in Bedford. Temperatures not much of a range across all of central Indiana. Other than the flurries we have now, which will calm down once the sun sets. It's a dry evening. Temperatures around 30 degrees. Just want to show you how snow will move in overnight. 11 o'clock. Just into eastern portions of Illinois. Then here comes the snow through 4 o'clock in the morning and 7 a.m. That's what greets you to start the weekend. We'll talk about the rest of your Saturday and how we finish the weekend coming up.
He was accused of killing a mom and her 2 daughters. Today, he officially pled guilty in court and will be sentenced next month. Bruce Pollard was driving his semi-truck in a construction zone on I-465 last July when he failed to stop for traffic ahead of him. He hit 7 cars, killing Elena Coons and her twin daughters, June and Ruby. Today, Pollard's attorney worked out a deal with the prosecutor where he pled guilty, claiming he is mentally ill. Pollard has been evaluated and determined to have a history of mental illness. He was charged with 3 counts of reckless homicide, among other traffic infractions. Pollard is back in court March 27th for sentencing.
Now to Democracy 2020 and the race for governor. Dr. Woody Myers officially filed paperwork today to be on the ballot. Today was the deadline to file for the May primary. Myers was one of 3 Democrats running for governor, but the 2 others dropped out in recent weeks. Myers was Indiana's state health commissioner and says that he will focus his campaign on education and public health. On the Republican side, Governor Holcomb filed his paperwork last month. With the noon filing deadline come and gone, we now have a list of everybody running for Indiana's 9 congressional seats this year. There are 80 people running in this year's primary as Republicans or Democrats for the seats in Washington, D.C. 42 Democrats and 38 Republicans are running. All current seat holders have primary challengers except for Republican Representatives Larry Bucshon and Trey Hollingsworth. In the very competitive 5th District, where current Rep. Susan Brooks is not running for re-election, there are 21 names on the primary ballot, 16 Republicans and 5 Democrats. A big night ahead in the race for president. 7 of the Democratic candidates will share the debate stage here on ABC ahead of Tuesday's primary in New Hampshire. And a new rivalry appears to be blossoming between 2 frontrunners. ABC's Trevor Alt reports from the debate site in Manchester, New Hampshire.
Top Democratic contenders taking their final walkthroughs before tonight's high-stakes debate in New Hampshire. Of the 7 candidates who will be on stage, Senator Bernie Sanders, the only one with a public campaign event Friday, and he used it to take aim at fellow Iowa frontrunner Mayor Pete Buttigieg.
Right now. And I'm reading some headlines from newspapers about Pete Buttigieg. Pete Buttigieg has most exclusive billionaire donors of any Democrat.
Both Sanders and Buttigieg have claimed victory in the Iowa caucuses. Friday night, they'll be standing right next to each other on stage.
It has been an extraordinary week, and we are absolutely electrified by the energy that we are coming here with.
Former Vice President Joe Biden will be in the center position. He's still leading nationally, but trying to right the ship after what he labeled a gut punch in Iowa.
I'm not going anywhere.
Senator Elizabeth Warren hoping to fight her way back up in the polls.
This is a moment when people are off the sidelines and people are ready to get in this fight.
And in the outer positions, Tom Steyer, Andrew Yang, and Amy Klobuchar making their push for a strong New Hampshire showing.
This is a state that has this big tradition of basically giving candidates a chance that they think can win in the election.
New Hampshire has a unique voting population in that a large percentage of the people in the state are independent voters. They'll be taking in some of the final pitches from the candidates tonight, just days ahead of Tuesday's primary. Trevor Ault, ABC News, Manchester, New Hampshire.
And the debate starts tonight at 8 o'clock right here on RTV6. Anchors George Stephanopoulos, David Muir, and Lindsay Davis will be the moderators, along with 2 journalists from the host state of New Hampshire.
Indiana flu deaths continue to climb. The state health department report today shows 50 this season. That's 5 more than last week. Marion County is the only county in the state with 5 or more deaths. That's the threshold for specifically naming counties. There have been 11 deaths in the county. Overall, the largest number of patients are in the 65 or older category. Now, more to come on RTV6. We told you about the need for more access to feminine hygiene products, showing the difference it can make for students. Now, one Indiana college is making a move to help. That's on the Now Indy at 5:30.
Also headed your way, the countdown to the biggest night in Tinseltown. And just when you think you know who the winners might be, we show you how a numbers game could play into all of this when RTV6 News at 5 continues.
I'll show you how snow may play into your plans for Saturday, but the weekend forecast isn't all about snow. We'll talk about Sunday as well coming up.
Visit the Hiring Hoosiers job board.
Well, good news tonight for Northside drivers. The Ditch Road Bridge over I-465 is back open. INDOT just opened it this hour. The bridge was closed in March of last year to be completely replaced. Contractors tore the bridge down and rebuilt it. They will return in the spring to pour new sidewalks on either side of the bridge, but it is open for drivers.
And a reprieve for drivers traveling through Indianapolis this weekend. INDOT is postponing a ramp closure in the North Split due to the weather. It was supposed to start tonight. The work to repair and replace the barrier is moved to next weekend, February 14th through the 16th.
When Oscar Sunday arrives, it's all a numbers game. With some huge upsets recently in the major categories, it can be hard to predict the winners.
But this year, that may not be the case. Our own movie guy, Brad Brown, is here now with some of his Oscar picks.
Just 24 winners will be announced on Sunday night. There are plenty of familiar names on the ballot, but some big stars that have waited a long time to hear their names called could finally be making that walk to the Oscars stage. All 4 of the acting categories have pretty clear winners. Joaquin Phoenix and Renee Zellweger should take Best Actor and Actress. I think Zellweger as Judy Garland would win an MVP Oscar if they gave out an overall winner. Go with Brad Pitt and Laura Dern in the supporting categories. Pitt's first nomination came 24 years ago. This would be his first Oscar win. If you're looking for one upset, maybe Florence Pugh of Little Women for supporting actress. Otherwise, the 4 favorites are easy picks. In the Best Animated Feature category, Toy Story 4 is looking like a popular choice, but I really liked Missing Link, a very creative take on the Bigfoot story. Parasite looks like a clear winner for Best International Film, but I'd look forward to win in at least one other category, Original Screenplay and or Best Director for Bong Joon-ho. That brings us to the final award of the night. 1917 and Joker led the nominations with 10 and 11. They are head-to-head in all of the technical categories. By the end, I think 1917 will collect the most wins, probably 6 or 7. That will also include Best Director for Sam Mendes. The movie is an absolutely brilliant piece of movie making, but I will jump in and make my own pick for Best Picture, and that's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Tarantino's latest is sublime, a feast for the eyes, a parade of great characters, and a ton of fun. Hollywood likes movies about Hollywood. We'll see if this blast from the past is Tarantino's first Best Picture Oscar winner. My full list of picks for all 24 categories can be found on our website, also on the RTV6 app. Join us right here Sunday night on the news at 11 and see how it goes.
All right, Brad, thank you for that. And as Brad mentioned, from the celebrity arrivals to the final award, RTV6 is your home for Oscar Sunday. Red carpet coverage starts at 1 o'clock and continues at 6:30. The Oscars will begin at 8 p.m. You can also find more Oscars content on theindychannel.com.
What amazes me is what Brad just told us there. I mean, his depth of knowledge in that. But did you hear what he said? For the 24 more picks in all categories.
Right. He's got more for you.
Oh, Brad is the man
The
when it
expert
comes
here,
to this
right?
stuff.
Our resident expert.
He needs to put together his own short movie for,
for Best Picture.
Yeah, what the heck. All right, let's talk about the weekend. I mentioned the snow for tomorrow. Sunday, it's a mix of rain and snow that eventually I think becomes more rain, especially in the southern 2/3 of the state. Temperatures a little warmer for the second half of the weekend. That's why I think we'll see a mix rather than just all snow. Snowfall potential. This starts late tonight for most of us after midnight through mid-morning tomorrow. Then we'll continue with some snow showers in the afternoon. Up to 1 inch of snow. That's a good way to put it. You can see fairly widespread. We should all participate in this. That's what we wake up to Saturday morning. This is what we have now. A few flurries, maybe a snow shower or two south of Indy toward Columbus, then around Greensburg, following Interstate 74, headed toward Cincinnati. We've had skies clear west and northwest of Indianapolis. Nice to see a little sunshine. There's a closer view. The darker the blue, a little heavier the burst of snow just south of Edinburgh along I-65 down toward Columbus, then the northeast portion of Bartholomew County. Temperatures 29 in Richmond. That's a cool spot. 34 in Muncie. Temperature in Indy, as we mentioned, 1 degree cooler than Muncie. Okay, the boys. The last 2 times we've had dog pictures to take for a walk, I've had a handful. I've got to get out my notes here and make the introductions. Far left, that's Toffee, then Moose, then Cannoli, and Caramel on the right.
They're looking great, too.
Thank you, Melody, for sending in the pictures. Yeah, they're balanced there on that.
What a family.
Yeah.
Rock. So I think just verbal commands, I'll be able to handle them all as we go for a walk. Temperatures in the upper 20s to around 30 this evening. Now let's flip to the overnight hours. 11 o'clock, some snow in eastern portions of Illinois. 4 o'clock in the morning, snow Lafayette to Indy to Greensburg. That continues to march to the east by 7 a.m. At that point, we will have all seen some light snow. Saturday forecast planner, the hourly temperature still below freezing as we get to noon. Afternoon highs 34 or 35. Let's finish the timeline. 7 to the early afternoon, that wave of snow moves away. Then I think we get into a situation where we have these patchy areas of snow showers through the afternoon into the evening. Temperatures do climb above the freezing, which I think means the roads will become wet. Then on Sunday, the change. Notice we've got snow and rain, and it arrives later in the day. Instead of the morning hours like tomorrow, it arrives in the afternoon and evening, and there's where your rain begins to take over as we get into the evening hours. 7-day forecast includes that snow tomorrow morning. Then late Sunday, rain and snow. Temperatures spend most of next week in the 40s. And Kyle put on there the big heart for next Friday, so we don't forget Valentine's Day.
Yeah, Cupid's got some traveling to do.
And we've had some big snows before on Valentine's Day. That's not currently predicted, but I just throw it out there.
But it could happen.
Nothing says love like a new snow shovel.
Thank you, Kevin, for that.
Well, it seemed innocent enough as showing of a Disney movie for a parent night out and raise a little money for a school. Well, it didn't go exactly as planned. How the head of Disney is now trying to make things right.
Days from 4:30 to 7.
Hello to you. I'm Julie Grant with Court TV, and it is a busy day as we are covering 3 cases for you. We are in Wisconsin for the sentencing of convicted murderer Ezra McCandless. The 22-year-old was found guilty in November for the brutal stabbing death of her ex-boyfriend, Alex Woodworth. Today, the court is not only hearing victim impact statements from Woodworth's family and friends, but the prosecution is also comparing McCandless to Ted Bundy. And our crews are in the state of Florida as well for the Ice Cream Man murder trial. Defendant Michael Keatley is accused of shooting 6 people in an act of revenge. Keatley was shot and left disabled after being robbed at gunpoint in his ice cream truck. And the state says that he went after the men that he thought hurt him. But the defense says the state got the wrong guy. And we are still in New York City covering Harvey Weinstein's rape trial. The state resting its case in chief on Thursday. The defense called a memory expert to try and rattle the credibility of the accuser's accounts in the minds of the jury. If convicted of predatory sexual assault, the disgraced movie mogul could spend the rest of his life in prison. As always, you can count on Court TV for gavel-to-gavel coverage of America's most compelling criminal trials. I'm Julie Grant. Now back to you in the studio.
Julie, thank you. You can learn more about other cases around the nation right now at courttv.com. The Disney company is quieting its roar over a school's airing of The Lion King.
You see, this all started after a California school was charged for showing the movie during a fundraiser. Back in November, the Dad's Club of the PTA at a school in Berkeley offered a parent night out fundraiser to support the school. As part of the evening fun, the school showed Disney's 2019 remake of The Lion King. The fundraiser made $800.
Well, last week, the school received a letter from Movie Licensing USA on behalf of Disney, charging the school a $250 licensing fee because it did not have a license to air the movie. Well, one of the parents bought it at Best Buy. The school had no idea they were breaking any rules.
The event made $800, so, if we have to fork over a third of it to Disney, so be it. It's, lesson learned.
Well, things are now looking up for the school. Yesterday, the CEO tweeted an apology to the school on behalf of the company and said he would personally donate to their fundraising initiative.
And by the way, the remake of The Lion King earned Disney more than $1.6 billion at the global box office.
Circle of life. Right there. Lesson learned. All new at 6 p.m. New details released about a fatal police-involved shooting in Lafayette. Officers have released body cam, dash cam, and 911 audio. What it all reveals tonight at 6.
I'll miss this. You bet I'll miss this.
The end of a long career for the state's oldest employee. Most people retire at 65, but not Bob Vollmer. Next on the Now Indy, the story behind Bob's retirement date and what's next for him. You're watching RTV6.